All right, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. Thanks so much to Alex Zimmerman. Always does a great job for Chalkbeat. But we're going to switch gears now, as we always do in the middle of our show. And we talk to people who are putting stuff out in the borough of the Bronx and our buddies from En Foco. What an amazing job they do all the time. So we'll say hello to Program Director Oscar Rivera. Nice to have you with us, Oscar. And the lens-based, I don't even know what that means, lens-based program coordinator for En Foco is Kay Hickman. Nice to have you with us, Kay. Oscar, let's just get started. For people who don't know what En Foco is, who En Foco is, I don't know where they've been, but let's bring them on board because this is one of the staple arts organizations in our borough of the Bronx and in the city of New York. So go to it, Oscar. Lay it on us. Well, En Foco.
Absolutely. So, for anyone who might not be familiar, En Foco is a nonprofit organization that has historically been based in the Bronx, and since 1974 has made it its mission to champion for artists of color, making sure that they are receiving opportunities for exhibitions, fundraising, professional development. Initially, it started out because a group of three photographers realized that they didn't have the opportunities that some of their contemporaries had, and they figured out the solution is to just make them for themselves. And that's what we've been doing since day one.
Well, let me ask you this, just for you.
Yeah.
Why is it now? Are you a photographer? And that's number one. And then number two, why is it important for you to kind of dedicate your professional work to En Foco and promoting artists and doing the work that you just described?
Yeah, so I'm a photographer. And for me, I realized during I guess, college stage of my career that there weren't many faces in the room that looked like mine, that experienced things that I have experienced, or that just understood heritage and culture in the way that me and my people do. And I know that that's a really large part of expression and developing as a person and an artist. And finding a place like En Foco where that is our mission, it made perfect sense for me.
You know, what really is interesting, and I've interviewed so many different photographers, many will talk about, well, the process of capturing an image and interpreting it the way I see and all that stuff. But with En Foco, it's always been there's a very important aspect of self identity involved. That it's not only the act. I wish I had a camera here as a prop. That's not, although we all have one of these now, so you could just use that. It's not only the act of taking the photo; it's the fact that this is my expression of who I am, of who my people
Mhm.
are. I mean, I'm not making it up because you just expressed
Yeah.
that. That's what makes it so important. Let's just go to Kay with a similar kind of question, and then we're going to show some pictures, and we're going to talk about two really important exhibits. Kay, for you, why is this important? You're a photographer, presumably, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
why is it important that you participate in Foco and help pursue this mission?
I mean, I really align with their mission and the fact that they help artists of color, photographers of color. Um, yeah,
And
and I just
and prior to getting involved with En Foco, did you feel, I don't want to extend it and say a sense of frustration and say, gee, I wish I had somebody around me who looks like me, who does, to just talk to me about that versus now that you have En Foco with you.
yeah, being able to have like a good mentor to help you, further your career and um, know,
Hmm.
yeah,
And kind of somebody that you can follow after and show stuff, et cetera, et cetera.
yes.
What kinds of images? Now, the images we're going to show are not necessarily yours or Oscar's, but what kinds of things do you like to take pictures of?
I love documenting the culture around Brooklyn. I go to a lot of different events, and like one of the things that brought me to photography is being able to freeze the frame and just keep a record of like what's going on around me.
Make things iconic
Yeah.
as you go along. I can understand that. So there are two exhibits. Let's first talk about Resistance for Freedom, which is one of them, and that Oscar did, and then we'll talk about the Utopian Voyage, which Kay was involved in. Oscar, let's talk about Resistance for Freedom, and we'll show some of these pictures as well.
Yeah, well, just to clarify, Kay is actually the curator for both
for
exhibitions. I'm
both?
just the program director for En Foco's.
Okay. All right.
All the
Well, I'll let you start with Resistance for Freedom
yeah.
anyway.
So Resistance for Freedom is an exhibition that features four of En Foco's applying artists, and so we have our fellowship and our grant opportunities.
Let's show Anderson. Let's put up some of these pictures. Go ahead.
And so artists who apply who might not win are always considered for further programming. And these four artists are from that group. And so we've got Chris Cook here. And the other artist is Chris Cook, Franceli Flores, Lawrence Sumalong, who's a past fellowship winner. And the last one is Jeremy Dennis. And so I can let Kay speak a little more about these, but the thought behind this exhibition is how do people of color exist in spaces, because sometimes just existing is political, and being who you are unapologetically and filling space as you demand it is revolutionary. And so that's kind of what we were thinking about here. We were looking at how artists are using their voices to stand up for things, and sometimes that motion of standing up is just being who you are.
You know, looking at those images, each one of them takes your breath away, to be honest. And so if you step back and people think about seeing them all in a gallery, all of a sudden there's a message that comes through. It would seem to me. Kay, did you go out to the artists and say, hey, we're doing a thing called Utopian Voyage. Would you take pictures for us that would fit? Or did they just have these photos and you said, oh, okay, we'll use this one, this one, this one, and this? Like, how do you put an exhibit like this together?
Yeah, it was definitely work featuring, we were definitely featuring work that was already made. Yeah, I guess the artist didn't really have time to create new work.
Right. It's very, very easy to say, go ahead, take your camera and come back with award-winning work.
Right. But yeah, we chose from the existing work. And it was just a matter of like, selecting work that kind of spoke to each other and, helped define our mission, for you.
And in terms of Utopian Voyage, what does that mean to you? What does that say about the work that you're looking for?
I guess it's an explosion. I'm sorry.
That's
It's
okay.
an exploration of the notion of what it would look like if people of color created their ideal future realities.
Here we go.
So yeah, and it really talks about. Oh.
Keep going.
Well,
Yeah.
we were just looking at Christina Bartley's work, but there's a lot of I noticed a reoccurring theme throughout all of the artists' work, and it's about like self-reflection and healing.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Keep going, Anderson. Let's see some more pictures. They're so stirring.
And that's a Amoy Gill.
This is an amazing photograph because it looks like an apple. That's
Mm.
where it's like I was like, oh, an apple, but then I was like, wow, it's somebody's back.
Yeah.
And look at how that speaks to you about who this person is and the way they see the world. Tremendous.
For me, there's a tenderness in some of these images
Oh,
because
very much so.
we're conceptualizing a future free of colonialism and what that looks like for cultures, and not just Afrofuturism or indigenous like cultures, but what that could look like for queer people, trans people, in spaces where like some of these binary thoughts are rigid and firm. We're looking at a lot of softness here, and I think that duality really is special.
Do you see results? Do you see the effect of these things? Do artists say, "Wow, I worked so hard at putting this image together, and now I have opportunity"? And even with people who see it, we'll ask both of you. Start with you, Oscar. Um, like what is the effect of it? I have to tell you, for me, even just looking at them when we saw them beforehand, but looking at them now, they really have impact. They're emotional. So, Oscar, talk a little bit about the effect of these things, and then we'll ask Kay the same question.
Yeah, absolutely. So En Foco works with artists in a bunch of different ways, and primarily through our fellowships in Revalus. There is a long lasting record of artists who have come through our doors, and we're just a way station for them. We show them in a show or a Nova Luz, and then they go on, and that recognition gets them fellowships other places, or they move on, and the funding helps them complete a project that they can then apply for other funding with.
Hmm.
So for En Foco, it's important for us to make sure that our artists are moving through us onto other things. And that's where it is for us, making sure that we're getting our artists recognition and attention, and they're reaping the benefits of that. Because
And
it's a,
this is what Kay was just talking about a moment ago. That she said, "Well, I was this, and now I have people around me, people that I can bounce my work off of." But Kay, then the same question for you: do you see response? Do you have anybody in mind? You say, "Wow, this person really benefited from being included in our galleries and in our shows and in the dialogue, et cetera, et cetera."
I mean, yeah, it's important for artists to get their work out there in front of a bigger audience, and In Foco is like one of the main staples in our community that helps
With
push that.
with the artists that you work to curate and select, did they have a range of photos, that fit, or like in other words, were there five of I almost said the guy with the apple of the back with the flowers on top, and they had all different angles, or was it very obvious to you that this one's got to be, this one's got to be, this one's got to
Yeah, it definitely took a while to like narrow down
really?
which images work together.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a
Oscar, about
process.
how many artists are and photographers are involved in Foco at any one time? I mean, I
oof.
know there's everybody, as I said, everybody's got one of these. They can go out and shoot all the time, but about how many do you have engaged?
It varies. So we offer 10 fellowships through our fellowship a year. So that's 10 artists that we're working with in that program every year. We offer our media fund, which is another five. We do 2 issues of Nueva Luz with between 3 and as many as 20 artists in an issue. We do between 3 and 4 exhibitions. So we are a revolving door of artists in our community coming through and finding ways to get their work shown and to have their voices heard.
For artists, for photographers, and people who want to be involved and who are watching us right now and say, this would be good for me. How do they get in touch with Enfoco?
So they can find us at enfoco.org. They can send us emails at info@enfoco.org. We're on Twitter and Facebook at Enfoco, and Instagram at Enfoco _.
Just put Enfoco in your Google thing and it'll
Yeah,
show up
it'll all pop up.
everywhere. And you'll
Much
see
easier,
that
definitely works.
that's an easy way to do it. Listen, you guys are great. I can't tell you how much we at BronxNet respect what you do and support what you do. So Oscar Rivera, who's the program director of Enfoco, thank you so much. Kay Hickman, the lens-based program coordinator, thank you both for your commitment to doing this for our people, for the people of the Bronx. It's just spectacular what you do, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. The pleasure is
Yeah,
ours.
Great.
definitely. Thank you.
Folks, that will do it for the Bronx Buzz. We thank Alex from Chalkbeat. We thank our friends from Enfoco for joining us. And, next week we'll be back with more. Happy holidays, everybody.